Good evening, Lake Orion. Well, it's a nice, beautiful day out. I'm your host, and I am a Taormina.
No, it's supposed to rain soon, right?
Yes, indeed. This is Between Taorminas on ONTV. I'm your host, Anthony Taormina. Sammy, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there.
Let's not talk about Ian.
Yes, I know.
Okay, so, all right. So, how's life treating you?
Hanging in there, been busy a lot, been
Same
keeping
here.
an eye. We got our preview shows coming up in 2
Oh
weeks.
yes, I'm looking forward to those. Yes, we're having the Lake Orion basketball preview shows, both boys and girls. That should be a lot
You're
of
going
fun.
to have Coach Manzo. I'm going to have Coach Griffin. You know what I mean? So it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
It's nice to bring back those preview shows,
Oh, yes.
especially because we haven't had them for the last 2 years now.
Oh, yeah.
At least in boys, the last 2 years.
Or
Girls in the last year.
Yeah.
So it would be very, very nice to have those preview shows, and I think that ONTV has done a fantastic job, and they'll continue to do a fantastic job.
Let's talk about what happened this weekend. Beautiful game.
Let's talk about the first topic, which is Michigan State versus Michigan in football, college football. Michigan State went into Ann Arbor, and they benefited from 5 turnovers from Michigan.
And the weather.
And also it was raining, and it was storming. Well, I wouldn't say no lightning, but it was
There wasn't
raining.
any lightning. The lightning actually was northwest of here, basically.
Uh-huh.
Northwest of Ann Arbor, basically, around Howell, Livingston County, and Lapeer
I
areas.
know. Then they had tornado warnings, too.
Yes, they
so
did.
anyways, what's your take about Michigan State?
This was a program that was 3-9 last year. I mean, they just suffered a lot. I mean, they just went through one of the worst seasons they've had. And, of course, let's not forget they had a really tremendous offseason, of course, with the sexual assault scandals involving 3 former players. Basically, to win this game against Michigan is huge for this team because, they were a 10-point underdog coming into this game. And,
Weren't they 13?
Yeah, they're actually 13-point underdog, but, you got to give a lot of credit, I think, to Mark D'Antonio for having this team well prepared. And, of course, I thought Michigan State played a really good first half behind quarterback Brian Lewerke, who played just outstanding in the first half. Second half, they kind of got a little conservative. But, that first half, of course, when you look at Lewerke scoring on a 25-yard run, and then, of course, that screen pass to Madre London, which is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful gem against a vaunted Michigan defense who Michigan State only had 256 total yards the whole game.
That's a credit to Michigan's defense.
But 112 of them were rushing yards, and Michigan's defense is number 1 ranked rush defense in the country. So, number 1 ranked defense in the country. And that's a credit to Michigan. Michigan's got a really good defense. The issue is with Michigan, of course, is their offense. We'll talk about that. But for Michigan State, this is absolutely huge for them. I think this really helps them going forward. Now, I don't think they're a finished product yet. They still got some games ahead of them. But when I look at Michigan State,
the Notre Dame loss looking pretty good.
The Notre Dame loss is looking really good right now. Of course, Notre Dame, the way they're playing right now. But for Michigan State, this is I said this could be an 8-9 win team. It's looking really good right now.
Did you notice Michigan State kind of change it up a little bit? They went to basically they went kind of back to the basics, which is smash mouth football. They had they're physical, relentless.
Well, this is what Michigan State's always been under Mark D'Antonio. Is they've always been physical, smash mouth.
But they feel like last year they kind of went away from that identity.
They went away from that identity because they had there was some chemistry issues surrounding this team. Basically, what happened was, there was like a disconnect, sort of like with that team, and now they had, as I mentioned, of course, they had that horrible off season, of course, as mentioned, but afterwards the team bonded together, had I mean, like, they did a lot of things together and basically
overcame a lot of adversity.
And, you know, they've started to gel. They started to work on something here, and they're starting to build it back up again. So basically, when you look at it here, and Michigan State only has 9 scholarship seniors right now, and that's saying a lot.
They're young.
And they're very young too. So, you know, when you look at Michigan State right now, they got a tough game coming up in Minnesota. I mean,
there's that fear of letdown.
There's that fear, and they go into TCF Bank Stadium, which it's always a hard place to play at night against a very good Golden Gopher team, of course, coached by PJ Fleck.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at Michigan State, you know, they're going to have to bring it same intensity they did, and I think their offense is going to have to spice it up a little bit more. You know, they have a defense who is one of the top, who's starting to become one of the top defenses again. But that offense has got to really pick it up if they have any chance beating Minnesota.
All right, let's talk about Michigan. You made mention we talked about their defense, but their offense is something that is needing to be.
Their offense is a mess. When you look at, of course, their offensive line is atrocious. When you really look at, of course, they got 2 very good experienced offensive guys on the right side. But when you look at the quarterback situation, of course, Wilton Speight gets hurt.
Out for the year.
He's out for the year, but Jim Harbaugh said he's out for multiple weeks, so we don't know that story. And then, of course, you bring in John O'Corn, the Houston transfer. He did very well against Purdue, but against Michigan State, I think he came in really ill-prepared. Of course, he threw 3 interceptions. Of course, I think a lot of that has to do with the weather and the Michigan State defense. Basically, Michigan's offense is an absolute mess. I mean, and when you look at Jim Harbaugh's record against both Michigan State and Ohio State, he's 1-4 against those teams. That says a lot. When you look at, of course, he's 24-7 all with the head coach. That's the same record as Brady Hoke, except the only difference was Hoke was 2-2 against both Michigan State and Ohio State, whereas Harbaugh is 1-4 against those same 2 teams. So basically, when you look at,
so you're saying Harbaugh's doing no better than Brady Hoke?
Harbaugh's doing no better than Brady Hoke. You know, when you look at the record's the same. The only difference is Brady Hoke has won 1 more game than Jim Harbaugh against Michigan State and Ohio State. So basically, for Michigan, it proves to me that Michigan can't win the big game. And, you know, they got to play Ohio State at home. They got to play Penn State on the road. They got Wisconsin coming up. I mean, they've really got to address some things and fix some things right now. Do they have the talent to do it? Sure they do. But, you know, they have the defense to do it. But it comes down to the offense and can they score. Because you know you have a world-class defense there that can do some damage. But if your offense is not doing anything, you're not going to win games.
Quick question with O'Corn. Do you think that one play where he was out of bounds, was that a flop or did a trainer legitimately push him?
I thought that was a flop. You know, that was a flop. That was a flop. That was clearly a flop. And, you know, if he thinks that was a personal foul, I mean, that was not a personal foul.
That shouldn't have been.
That should not have been a personal foul. And then, of course, the one against Chris Fry, I thought that was a horrible call. But you know what? Michigan State found a way to win. They won. That's their 8th game against Michigan in 10 tries. Mark D'Antonio's 8-3 against Michigan in his career, and that says a lot in East Lansing.
All right. So, we have any final thoughts about Michigan State, Michigan?
For Michigan State, you know, they got a big one in Minnesota. I think they're going to win that game. Michigan against Indiana, you know, I think Michigan will win against Indiana, but, you know, but if it wouldn't surprise me if both these 2 teams can do some significant damage this upcoming season. I know both teams still got to play Penn State. They got to play Ohio State. And then, of course, you know, you got Rutgers and Maryland coming up. So
Rutgers and Maryland.
And Indiana. So when you look at it here, I think for both these teams, if they can get their things, they can fix some things, you know what I mean? Both of them can have great years.
All right. We'll be right back between Taorminas on ONTV.
Hey, it's ONTV here. Now, have you ever had the urge to create your own TV show, or you just wanted to see what goes behind the scenes of making a TV program? Well, ONTV has just the program for you. ONTV offers studio and field production classes that allow you to take control and create the programs the way you want them to be. We will introduce you to media literacy skills and the fundamentals of program production in order to acquire the basic training needs for ONTV equipment use. To get started, all you have to do is sign up for a free ONTV orientation, where you will learn all about ONTV and all the opportunities available to our volunteers, as well as meet the ONTV staff and take a tour of our facility. After that, you can register for one of our production courses. Both the studio and field production courses are only $10 for Lake Orion residents and $25 for non-residents. For more information about ONTV's production classes, feel free to call us at 248-393-1060 or go to orionontv.org and click Register Now to sign up for classes. We hope to see you soon.
Welcome back to Between Taorminas here on ONTV. Sammy, how you doing?
Doing all right.
Let's talk about the Lions.
Yeah.
The Lions lost to Carolina at Ford Field. This was a game where a lot of fans thought the Lions would get a big win against Carolina. It was the final was close, but I mean it didn't feel like close.
You know what? Cam Newton had 3 touchdowns against the Lions.
Yep.
I mean, for my opponent this week, Jonathan Jackson in the ONT Fantasy Football League, he didn't start him. He started Russell Wilson. So if he would have started Russell Wilson, if he would have started Cam Newton, I would have been dead. But anyway, Cam Newton, 3 touchdowns. He was coming off shoulder surgery. And you basically exposed the Lions defense. The honeymoon for the Detroit Lions is over, because you look at what happened to this team, they're in deep trouble because their defense can't stop anybody. Their offensive line's overrated because of what happened to Stafford. Stafford was sacked a lot. Last 2 weeks he's been sacked, I think, 8 times. And Stafford is hurting right now. So when you look at the offensive line, they're a mess. You know, their defense is a mess. I mean,
But the Lions were playing
They
last
played so well last few weeks, but you know, last 2 weeks they really haven't played very well, and I think the offensive line is a big problem, and also the defense is a big problem. Of course, and what I don't understand is because the Lions invested so heavily on this offensive line. Now I know Taylor Decker's out, but you know, when you're invested heavily on an offensive line to protect your franchise quarterback, you're paying $27 million per year, you know, what can you say? I mean, like, your offensive line, I think the Greg Robinson trade, of course, I thought it was good early. It's starting to become really bad now because of the holding and the penalties that he's been getting. So when you look at the Lions, they're an absolute mess right now.
Eric Ebron, what's your take on him?
You know, I have him on my team, on my fantasy team. And, you know, I was an idiot this week by keeping Rob Gronkowski on the roster, on my starting lineup, in case if I didn't know he wasn't going to play on Thursday. So I was disadvantaged 8 guys. So on Ebron, you know, I'm thinking about dropping him in my league because he's had so many drop passes, so many drop balls. Maybe looking at possibly trading the guy. But Eric Ebron has been a disaster in the making. Of course, the Lions touchdowns, I think it was Will Davis who had Fulton Davis had 2 touchdowns yesterday. He caught the 2 touchdowns for the Lions. So, you know, when you really look at it here, he might be the better option at tight end right now.
I noticed something, too. Weren't the Lions the favorites to win?
They were the favorite to win.
Aren't they better as an underdog?
Yeah, they're better as an underdog to win. Of course, when you look at the Lions, you know, these are the Lions we're talking about.
Yes, I know these are the
Lions, okay?
Yeah,
they're gonna find a way to they make it look like okay, and then they try to pull off a hero's comeback late in the year. Sometimes it doesn't always work out. So basically, when you look at the Lions situation,
but wasn't the score like 28-26?
They lost 27-24.
Oh yeah, 27-24.
And you really look at the Lions situation, you know, they've got problems. You know, offensive line, defense.
It still felt like a close game.
It felt like a close game.
Didn't they make a rally in the 4th quarter?
It felt like a close game, but really wasn't. I mean, Carolina, I thought, was a better team. Better teams there to win that game.
So, is Carolina going to be a contender in their division?
Yes, they're a contender in the NFC South. Along with Atlanta, You know, I think the NFC South is much better than people think. Now, Lions play the Saints this week, and, you know, New Orleans is starting to play a little bit better. But I still think if the Lions, when healthy, are going to torture that Saints defense in New Orleans like they did last year, and it could be really interesting.
So you really think the Lions can go into? And speaking of that, Ian Weatherspoon. That's Ian's favorite matchup.
Yeah, but I still think the Lions will win this game over the Saints. I really do. There's too much talent not to.
Mm-hmm.
And if Eric Ebron can't catch a pass, he should be out of the team, out of a job, in my opinion.
Now, what's your take about the Packers and Cowboys?
You want to know why Green Bay is my pick to win the North? Aaron Rodgers. You want to know why I've been telling Chris Bell so much about why Green Bay is going to win the North? And it's because of Aaron Rodgers. One thing, I thought Dallas made a mistake, and I'm not being mean to Jeff either, but you can't score too early against Green Bay. You got to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. Got to keep him off the silence.
You got to keep him on the silence.
You got to keep him in silence. So basically, that's what happened here. And the Dallas defense could not come through. You know, and that's what happened here in this matchup. That's why I think Green Bay is going to win the North. It's because of Aaron Rodgers.
So, speaking of that,
I don't like the fact that he gets a lot of calls either, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's true. He does.
I don't like that at all.
He really, really does. I think that. Do you think
That's
a lot of that?
Change.
But the problem is it won't. Because the referees are, they're very.
You got to have a strict crew. You got to have a strict crew against Aaron Rodgers. That's what I think has to happen.
But anyways, it seemed like Dallas played very, very well offensively.
Offensively, they played well. I mean, defensively, they got some issues they got to fix. You know, last 2 weeks against New York and last 2 weeks against Green Bay and Los Angeles Rams, they have not fared very well.
The Cowboys have not fared very well.
No.
So those are some things that the Cowboys need to fix.
Yes. I mean, let's talk about some other sports, too, of course. We've got baseball. Hockey season started. I'm a little concerned about my Stars. They're 0-2.
Yes, let's talk about hockey season. Obviously, your beloved Dallas Stars is 0-2.
They're going to fix it. Don't worry. I'm not pressing the panic button yet.
It's early.
It's early. Ben Bishop was hurt.
They lost to the Las Vegas Golden
I know,
Knights.
but Ben Bishop was hurt. Of course, Carolina gave up. He's given up 4 goals in the last 2 games. That's bad. But Ben Bishop, he's back. He'll be back healthy. He's starting against Detroit. And I think once Ben Bishop's back in net, all's right in the world with the Stars.
So, speaking of the Wings, what's your take on the Wings?
Not great. But, they're 2-1.
They beat a disgusting team known as the Minnesota Wild.
Well, they're 2-1, right? Or I think they're 2-0 right now, but I think that's changing tomorrow. I think that's changing Tuesday night against the Dallas Stars.
So you think they're going to go 2-1?
Yep, they're going to lose to the Stars.
What's your take about my Avalanche being 2-1?
I like this team. I'll be honest with you. They're a young team. I mean, Colorado's a very young team.
You like my Avalanche? Please tell.
I mean, I really like Patrick Nemeth coming over there. Of course, he cleared waivers from Dallas to play in Denver. I think he's going to really help you guys out. But at the end of the day, they're going to say you guys are a young hockey team and, you're going to struggle.
They're all going to say we're going to finish last.
But you know what? But, Colorado's got a lot building for the future.
We will have to see.
And then, of course, we got baseball.
Yes, let's talk baseball about the ALDS.
Yep. Houston just advanced. Of course, they're going to be playing.
They have a reliever named Justin Verlander.
That's odd. Very
That's
odd. They're going to be playing Cleveland, I think. I think Cleveland's going back to the World Series. Don't worry about it.
So you think Cleveland's going to beat New York?
Yep.
What if New York wins tonight?
And
we're going to Game 5.
We're going to Game 5.
Which will be in Cleveland.
Anything will happen there. Anything will happen. So we'll see.
So I mean, it's possible. I mean, certainly, it's not a clear guarantee that Cleveland will get in.
But if they do, I can see Cleveland heading the World Series.
So your take is Ian Weatherspoon will be thrilled.
Yes, he'll be thrilled.
So because obviously that's where Ian's been these days.
Yes,
he's been
Cleveland,
in Cleveland.
Ohio. Yep.
He's been in Cleveland cheering on the
Indians,
the Browns, the Cavaliers.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a mess.
Yes,
that guy's a mess. That's why he's not on the show these days.
Yes.
Any final thoughts?
We'll see what happens going forward. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, fact is, Ian Weatherspoon likes Cleveland. We'll be right back on Between Taorminas on ONTV. Hello, Lake Orion. It's Anthony Taormina, co-host of Between Taorminas. I want to let you know of a new show called History Now. In it, we're going to talk about global, national, and political events that occur in our lifetime. We're going to also have guests and also have co-hosts as well, and also plenty of surprises. Catch us on History Now here on ONTV. Hello, Oakland County. This is Sammy Taormina talking OAA Now. In it, we'll talk various stories ranging from the state to Oakland County teams affecting the OAA. Catch us here on OAA Now. Welcome back to Between Taorminas here on ONTV. I'm your host, Anthony Taormina. Sammy, how you doing?
Hanging in there.
Let's talk about the Dragons. The Dragons' fall athletic season has been going all right so far. Football, it's been a long year, but Coach John Blackstock is doing well for his first year. It's been tough.
It's been tough, but you got to give him a full year to put a system in there. Now, I've seen a lot of other teams that are in really bad shambles right now, but I'll go over that in my podcast. But this program is not in shambles. I mean, you really look at this Lake Orion team. I think they're a year away. I think from being really, they're going to be really competitive next. I think in 2018. And you really look at this group. I mean, like
this 2017
group. They've
they're
battled
working
hard. They've worked hard. They've competed hard. I mean, like. But when you really look at the problem with this team, it's been the schedule and the secondary. Of course, as I mentioned in the preview show, in my football preview show, I mentioned the secondary was going to be a concern for this group. But when you look at, of course, when you look at the schedule, this schedule has been really vicious. Of course, when you're playing Chippewa Valley, you're playing West Bloomfield, you're playing Adams, you're playing. Of course, you got Clarkston this week. You got. And you're playing Bloomfield Hills, you're playing Southfield, you're playing. I mean, it's not an easy slate for this group. It's not. When we really look at this group. So, but there were a couple games this group should have won. Of course, Southfield Arts and Tech. I thought the officiating gave that game away. Bloomfield Hills, that was another game. That was another winnable game. But the game the Oxford game, I thought was really interesting for this group. Of course, they needed that win. Mm-hmm. They played well. I mean, like, offensively, I thought the running game was very good. I really liked Marcus Brown's pick on defensively on Parker Fleming. I thought the defense played well. The run defense was very good against Oxford's Pound of the Rock scheme. Mm-hmm. And basically, what this group is doing, you knew it was going to be a really interesting year going from Chris Bell to John Blackstock. It was going to be a really tough challenge for this group with this going through this transition period.
But if you look at it, I mean, the schedule. I mean, everybody went through that schedule in the red. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's very challenging. Obviously,
Red's a tough league.
It's tough. It really is.
It really is. I mean, you can't. There's
You've
no
got
weeks
quality
off.
teams.
Quality teams in this league.
It's not what it used to be.
It's not what it used to be.
Because
back
it used
when
to
I
be.
played.
It used to be more. I remember it was more the OAA was more at first. It was more built off success. But you always had the enrollment things. And 07, 08, especially it went by enrollment divisions.
I really believe the enrollment has to be not.
Do you think the mergers?
I think the mergers have. I think the
mergers have impacted
it. Transfers have impacted it, and I think when you look at all what's going on, it's really impacted seeing how everything is going right now. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens in the football front.
Volleyball has been very, very successful. They had beaten Clarkston. They have some injury issues though as well. But
3 of your top players are out. When you look at, of course, Paige Briggs with her back injury. You look at Danielle Sargent was having an ankle injury, and then of course Kendall Robinson with her back injury.
But volleyball for the most part has done extremely well this year.
They've
won 3 invitationals. They've won the Novi Invitational. They fought. They were
done
runner-up to
well,
Portage
but
Central
they've done
invite.
well. But this is a group that
They
needs
won the
rest.
LO invite. Stony
This
Creek
is a
invite.
group that needs rest right now. When you look at this team, you know, you look at like
Prepare for districts.
You got this is a team right now that has to prepare for districts. They have to play Clarkston. That's not going to be an easy matchup for them.
Right.
Especially when you have players coming back from injury, you know, having to get back in the thick of it. It's not going to be an easy matchup for this group against a Clarkston team that is improving each day. You know, as mentioned, this is going to be a tough matchup, and it's at Clarkston. Let's not make that. Let's put that right there. So this volleyball team, they've got to get together real quick,
Get healthy.
get healthy, and get together quick, because this is not going to be an easy matchup when they play Clarkston.
But they have already had.
They
They have
have beaten
success
Clarkston.
against Clarkston.
They have beaten
They have
Clarkston.
had success against Clarkston.
Yes. So they're going to be
it's
healthy.
It's not like you know you can't beat them. It's just right now we're
You got to
injured
be
and
healthy.
You got to
The
get healthy.
the injuries were a factor, of course, in both their losses to Seaholm in 5, and of course the Stony Creek game. You know, they didn't have Paige Bricks. So when you really look at the injury factor here in this matchup, you know, it has, you know, you benefit from it when you help with the depth, and it hurts you at times, you know, when you don't
But you
have your
can't
star
deny the
players out there.
success of volleyball this year. They've won 3 invites.
No.
They've won a very hard. They won the Novi invite, beating Novi, who was number 1 in the state at the time. They've gotten a win over Rockford, who was also number 1 in the state, at Portage Central. They were runners-up at the Portage Central invite. They also won the LO Invitational early in the year. They won the Stony Creek
But we'll
Invitational
see what
early in the
they're
year.
made of in a couple
So,
weeks.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
see what they're
definitely
made
see
of.
what happens in districts.
They do have one more
Soccer.
game with Troy, so.
That's true. Well, soccer, you've got soccer has had you know, with their record, they've been 500. They went to Woodhaven, won 3 games, and then right now they're about 500. They got a quality win against Clarkston. They've played a very, very difficult schedule this year.
Well, soccer, you know, when you look at them, this is a team that, you know, got some experience. They've got.
Could easily be in the red.
They could easily be in the red, but you know, but they've had some tough losses. Of course, when you look at losing the Groves, losing to North Farmington,
Right,
I
those
mean,
are tough.
you know,
But they've gotten some
but
good
they've got
wins.
some good
They
wins.
beat Seaholm,
They've got some good
which
wins.
is a good win.
But when you
they
look
got
at,
they beat
let me
Oxford, beat
finish.
Westmoreland.
You look at soccer. Of course, we're going to see what they're made of in a couple weeks when they play Stony Creek. Now they have
the
played
districts.
Stony Creek before.
Yes.
You know, but even though they lost them, Stony Creek's got a very good player, Mike Molinari.
Right.
So when you look at that matchup, you know, we're going to see what type of team Lake Orion is. I mean, like, but right now, you know, they've been they're starting to get it a little bit. You know,
They've
starting to
been
get it.
playing well. I mean, there's no denying that they've been playing well. You know.
They're starting to get it.
Right. Well, let's briefly talk cross country, and then we'll head on off. Cross country. What's
Girls have been very good when you look at them. You know, they had was a little surprised when I look at the county rankings for both. I think the boys this year is a little bit down.
Right. But they still fight.
But they still compete.
That's
You
what I
know,
can
so it'll
ask
be
for.
very interesting to see what happens heading into not only in the cross country season, but also in the track season.
All right. Well, that will do it for this episode of Between Taorminas. We'll catch you soon. Have a good night, Lake Orion, and see you soon.